Hey everyone, I'm Kevin Bartlett.
And I'm Christine Strauss, and this is The Real Deal with Baird & Warner, where we cover all things real estate.
For buyers, sellers, renters, investors, and fellow agents. So before we introduce our guest for today, we're going to take a quick look at the market activity over the weekend. On the list side, we saw another decrease, a very small decrease, but another decrease in inventory on the market. If you are on the fence of selling your home, it's a really good time to do so. The buyers are out there in full force.
Yes, seriously, out there in full force. The buyer activity is crazy. This was the third highest weekend that we had the most showings on the buyer side for this year. So way to go, buyers. So today we have Carelys Hepburn with us. So Carelys, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Yes, absolutely. We so appreciate it. So Carelys has been in the business for a few years, and she has become our expert at open houses, especially here in the office, not only for herself, but for other agents too. So Carelys, I'm so excited to dive into all of that with you today.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. So as Christine said, we're going to be talking about open houses a little bit, and that's something that we think is relevant for if you're looking to sell your house, if you're looking to buy a house, or if you're an agent watching this podcast. Carelys will have some good tips for you as well. So starting at the top here, why are open houses important? Not only for sellers if you're looking to sell, but if you're looking to buy a house, why is it important to go to open houses?
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me here to both. And so open houses, kind of my favorite subject. And the reason it is my favorite subject really is because I will say about 80% of my business, give or take, comes through open houses. And what does that mean from a buyer and a seller? That means that open houses actually do sell houses.
That's good, because not everyone thinks that.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to make sure that I will say that. There is a lot of people out there that feel that open houses are not the places where you buy or sell houses. I will say, I do get a lot of business from the open houses, but about 50% of the houses that I have shown, or some of my listings that have been in open houses, have actually sold because of that particular open house.
Oh, good.
So a lot of people ask me, have you ever had an opportunity where like that person that comes to the open house actually buys the house? Yes, many times. So it is possible, it is doable. So why does this work and why is it beneficial? So let's talk about sellers for a little bit. One of the things I explain to my sellers, right? Our goal as an agent is to increase the exposure of your house.
Right.
Okay, so it is a numbers game, like on every other step. The more people that get to see your house and see how wonderful your house is, the more chances you have that one of them actually likes the house. So an open house is a perfect opportunity in where in a very short amount of time, usually between 2 to 3 hours, depending on what you like, you can have and maximize the number of people that will go to that open house. Now, you will say, and some of my sellers will ask me, but will they come anyhow as with a showing with an agent? I'm like, well, some would. Right. However, in my experience, and I don't, I haven't counted them, so this is more kind of like, like a tour of what I have seen. About 50 to 70% of the people, a vast majority of the people that come to my open houses do not come with an agent. They don't even have an agent.
Right.
So those are people that have you not had that open house, that will not have actually gone and seen your house, no matter what.
That's a good point.
Because there will be no agent to show them. How do they come to me? They've seen my signs outside. They have actually gone to online apps and they try to see at this point in their search. They usually kind of decided that they want to sell, but at the beginning they are unsure, right?
Right.
And I said, let's go and have a look at a few houses yet. And they suddenly come, they see your open house, they love it. Poof, oh my God, I need to buy this house.
Right.
And it happens. And it happens a lot. It happens more than what people can think. So as a seller, I will say, really, that is your benefit. You are exposing your home, the beauty of your home and the benefits of your home to a lot more people than you would should not have the open house.
Right.
As a buyer, you will say, well, what is my, what is it for me? Well, what I said to my buyers, usually, we go to a lot of showings. We talk about what is it that you would like to do, which area do you want to do, what type of house, what type of price range, and things like that. But sometimes I also say to my sellers, when they are indecisive, they don't really know exactly what they want. It's like, look, I'm going to just send you a couple of open houses. Why don't you go and have a look? So by going at open houses, you can very quickly in a couple of hours, 2, 3, 4 hours, you can spend a Saturday or a Sunday. You can test different areas. So if you're not sure whether you want to be in South Naperville or North Naperville or Aurora, you can say, well, let me see a couple of open houses.
Right.
You can actually explore a couple of price ranges, right? Well, my God, I've always wanted to see how does McMansions look in downtown Naperville because I'm not sure whether I like it. Well, guess what? There is one in open house, so you can go and have a look at that. So, you can have it all in a day. It's actually quite fun, kind of benefit.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's actually great.
Yeah.
You can get a lot of decoration tips as well. Just so
Extra bonus.
It's extra bonus, exactly. Yeah. So there is a lot of benefits from both the sellers and the buyers, of course. So for my opinion, again, as I said, I will highly recommend, and I do highly recommend my sellers to hold open houses as many as they can.
That's wonderful. That's such good information to know too. Like you said, for both buyers and sellers to see the perks and the benefits. Now, I want to shift a little bit because, of course, with everything going on with COVID, seems like open houses and, just kind of the real estate world in general started to shift to this whole virtual aspect. So how do you see virtual open houses being integrated? Do you think that's something that will stay? What are your thoughts on that?
So virtual open houses, very interesting point. And I will have to say one of the things I truly appreciate of agents in this industry is their capacity and their ability to adapt to the situation. So as you all know, what happened when we ended up into this quarantine, we were essential workers. We were allowed to continue to go out. However, everybody else was not. So what do we agents do in order to be able to continue to show your house to potential clients, to do virtual open houses? So we were allowed to do those, all the quarantine process, and I think it was back at the end of May we were allowed to do regular open houses again. So what I have seen is that it was personal open houses, then they stopped, it was virtual then, and now we're going back again to the personal open houses. Right. Will they stay? Will they know? I wish I will have the answer. Because if I could predict the future, I would make a lot more money.
Yes, I think you might not be in real estate.
But I will make a lot more money. But here is my personal opinion. I do believe that there is a place for virtual open houses, regardless whether we are within COVID or not. Okay, because they offer something a little bit different than your in-person open houses.
Right.
Now, during COVID, we were probably doing virtual open houses every weekend. Do I see a need to do that? Not really. But at least for my clients, I am going to offer one virtual open house for every single one of my listings, no matter what. So why do I see those benefits, right? The main thing, there are people that, especially now, that are still not comfortable with going out. So you still want to be able to reach those. There are people that are not in the States. So I think virtual open houses work very well, especially if you have houses in the price ranges where they are relocation buyers could be coming from a different state, especially now that travel, it is really not that encouraged. People instead, having to come here, you can get a collection of virtual open houses and then have a look. And then when they come for this 3-day weekend, that to actually see their houses, they already can earmark the ones they want to see. The other benefit that I think for me is the most that I like to express to my sellers is the fact that when you do your virtual open houses, I use Facebook Live to do that. The open houses get recorded. So it gets recorded in a post that then I can use, I can advertise, I can send to clients, I can send to potential buyers. So it's something that you can use after the open house as a kind of record of what this house looks like.
So if you're an agent and you haven't been doing that, you should start.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And then, if you are an agent and you'd ask me, well, Carelys, but I could do that just with a regular video, right? You could, of course you could. But I feel that when you have that virtual open house, at least that first time, you have the opportunity to interact with those buyers, right? So those buyers can ask you questions on the spot. They might actually say, hey, Carelys, can you please zoom in into this cabinet? Open that door. What's behind over there, right? So you actually can have that one-on-one relationship, and I still be able to talk to and respond to the questions that the buyers are giving you. And as the post stays in Facebook Live, more questions might come in, and you do have the opportunity to answer them after that. So will they stay? Will they know? I don't know. I know personally I will be continuing to do it, at least one for every one of my listings.
Good. Okay, that's so good to know. And again, I mean, so many benefits, right? With COVID going on, of course, even post-COVID, lots of benefits there. So thanks for sharing your thoughts on that.
You're welcome.
So as we were talking about COVID a little bit, we obviously have some concerns on people going into houses. Is it safe? As a seller, as a buyer? As a seller and a buyer, what are some safety precautions that you're taking? If I have a listing and I want you to do an open house for me, what are you doing to make sure that my home is safe? Not only from COVID, but from other things that can happen during an open house. And then if I'm a buyer going into a house, how are you making that safe for me to enter the house?
Sure. And safety, very important. A lot of the conversations I have with my sellers is about, sometimes when they feel a little bit hesitant about doing an open house, safety is usually that hesitation. Right. How do I know who's going to be coming to my house, and how do I know my stuff is safe?
Right.
And especially now with COVID, what about if they're sick? How can I protect myself? So there's several things that I do and that we can all do in order to protect our clients and the potential buyers that come into the house. So let's talk first about house safety. Okay, so regardless of COVID, I do have a list of kind of safety precautions and that I give to my sellers, which is basically about how to prepare your house for an open house, right? And there are, things that could be obvious for some, but not necessarily for others. Like if we're going to host an open house, I would like the house to be clean, because you want to show them the best, and the best that the home can be. But also I like them to take all their valuables, right? So if you have any jewelry, if you have anything, money or anything like that, please put it away, put it in a drawer, put it on a safe if you have one. Obviously, if you have any guns or any weapons, even your kitchen knives. I mean, I kid you not, I will not let my clients leave, the counter with the kitchen knife. I'll put that on a cabinet, right? So make sure there is no guns in the house. Prescription drugs, right? You don't want to get somebody going into your cabinet and suddenly take all your prescription drugs and things like that. So there is a lot of things that I sit down and discuss with my sellers as to, okay, let's see. And then the first time that we get together, we'll walk through the house and I will open the cabinets, because literally that is what the buyers might do. So you need to know. Good point. I'm opening things. I'm like, okay, that needs to go. Right, that shouldn't really be here. I have to say, people do get it, and they're willing to do that. And as I said, the majority of the people are not there to steal anything. They really are genuinely there because they want to buy a house. But it's always good to have a little bit of precaution.
Better safe than sorry.
Exactly.
Very true.
So going into COVID, okay, so I have been taking COVID very seriously, personally, because I'm asthmatic and I don't want to get sick. And so I just needed to take that little extra precaution. So personally, what I've been doing is, particularly at the beginning of when we're allowed to do the open houses again, I literally have been setting up a table outside. So I have been doing a lot of open houses in vacant homes as well, but because I don't want to lose that conversation that usually happens. I also don't want 10 or 15 or 20 people inside the house at any given time, because that is when, it might be more difficult to social distance, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm literally setting up a table outside, and in that table I have disinfectant wipes, I have, hand sanitizer, I have masks, I have gloves, okay? So that's kind of like the area and where when a client comes in, I want to make sure that if they don't have a mask, that they wear one, that they can disinfect their hands before they go in the house. There are gloves in case they want to open and touch any drawers, that they can use their gloves. By the door there will be booties, so either they can put the booties in there and then dispose of them. So everything is kind of safe and sanitized. When I arrive at the open house first, I actually, with a wipe, I turn all the lights on and off. I open all the cabinets and all the closets. So there really isn't a need for your buyers to start going through things. However, if they wish to, that's where the gloves that I provide are. Other thing that I think has been very helpful to me is I do have a form, which is a COVID form. Basically, is a form that the potential buyers sign for me with their name and their address and their signature that says that they are not sick, that they have not been exposed to anybody with COVID, and that they haven't traveled out of the country in the last 14 days. Not that anybody can, but it's in the form. Not that everybody can, but it's in the form. So that way, there is even one more step of security to make sure that whoever is going to enter into the house is not sick. The other thing I'm doing is I'm only allowing one group of people at a time. So if a family comes in, they are allowed in the house. Another family comes in, I will, talk to them outside. I will talk to them about the benefits of the house. I'll talk about the benefits of the area. I will talk about the neighborhood. I will talk about the market while they're waiting for the other person. They can see the grounds, they can definitely see the yard, but I only leave one family at a time. And so far, I think, people have appreciated those extra safety precautions, and I will continue to do so until...
Oh, absolutely. If I'm a buyer walking in and I see all that set up, it's going to make me feel more comfortable. That I know I'm going into a house that someone's putting care and time into making sure that it's safe, so that's great.
Absolutely. Yep. Very good. Well, Carelys, do you have any fun or maybe not so fun any open house stories that you'd like to share with us today?
Sure. I mean, I don't know if it's fun, but I think it's definitely one of the cutest, I think I would say rewarding story of an open house. So around Christmas last year, right, I am sitting in an open house for one of my sellers. It happens to be in my subdivision. I live in Center Hill in Naperville. And this house was built in, 1967, 1968, give or take, right? So I'm sitting in this open house, and this couple comes in the open house. I say hello, they say hello. And then I'm looking at them as they're going around the house, and they're looking at the house differently than your regular buyer. Regular buyer is interested in the features and the stuff. These people were looking at the house with love. They were going and touching the banister. And touching the walls. I'm like, this is weird.
This is weird.
This is strange, but there you go. So, they're walking around, and when they come back, I was like in the kitchen at the time, and I, so I introduced myself. Hi, here's Carelys. Then the lady says, I just wanted to tell you, thank you so much for allowing me to come in my open house. I'm like, no, it's an open house. You're very welcome to come in.
Yes, of course.
It's like, I just want to tell you, I grew up in this house. I'm like, oh my God, that's why. So she told me her whole story.
That's awesome.
The father was one of the first people that lived in that subdivision. That house was the fourth house to be built, and she was, she moved there when she was like 3 or 4, and she actually grew up in the house until she went to college. She said she didn't come back many times after that. Her father unfortunately passed away, and then the house was sold and sold again, and then I was there selling it again. So she had not been in the house in a number of years, and she was like so wanting to see the house again. And then she was telling me all wonderful stories, and that's why I said it was very rewarding. She was telling me, because I mean, remember, it's my neighborhood, so she told me the story about my neighborhood, how many houses were there, how it was built. She was telling me about how my house was corn. There was like cornfields all over there.
That's awesome.
So we kind of kept in contact, and then she then sent me some amazing photos of the actual house being built back in 1968 with the neighborhood. And you would not believe it, because now you'll see that it's like full of houses. But there was there like 3 houses and cornfields and everything else. I've since shared those pictures in our neighborhood newsletter. But I think it was fascinating, and to be able to meet
would have been great if she came in and just bought it back.
Can you imagine? Yeah, that would have been funny. But yeah, so that was very rewarding. I would say that was cute that she has had the opportunity to go back into her childhood home because of the open house. So it was really nice.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, what a fun story.
That's
and
awesome.
Talk about rewarding. I can absolutely see how that is such a payoff to be able to have that experience. So very cool. Thank you for sharing that with us.
No, you are very welcome.
Well, Carelys, thank you so much for joining us today. We just really appreciate you being here and sharing all of your insight and your expertise about open houses. I think we all had some benefit from there. So if our listeners or our viewers want to get in touch with you, maybe ask more questions, where can they find you? Any social media, any contact information?
Sure. I do have Instagram and I do have Facebook. I also have text. Text is the best way to get me.
And we'll put your info.
I'll give you my number,
yep.
630-450-7727. But at social media, I'm at CPH Real Estate Group.
Okay, CPH Real Estate Group. Got it.
CPH Real Estate Group on both Facebook and Instagram. That's the way. And I'll be more than happy to answer any questions anybody have about open houses or anything else. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much for
joining us.
Thank
you so much for making it. We really appreciate it.
No worries.
And now a word from one of our key mortgage loan officers for our weekly Mortgage Minute.
Hi, this is John Lewis with the Mortgage Minute for August 11th. I'd like to dispel some of the myths that are prevalent in the mortgage industry, so that will help you make some educated buying decisions. One of the myths that is on the street is that you have to have a 20% down payment amount to qualify for a mortgage. That is not true. We can qualify buyers with as little as 3% down with lower and middle income buyers. So, and you can choose to put 5% down or 10% down or 15% down if you have that ability to do so, but you do not need the 20 to qualify for a mortgage. So don't let that stop you from enjoying the benefit of an American dream of owning a home. Another myth that is not accurate is that you need a FICO score, which is a credit score, of over 760 to 780. I qualify people with 600 FICOs. There are specific programs that can help us do that, and the interest rates are still very competitive, and there's still lower down payment programs too for those lower scores. So don't let that be a deterrent for you to investigate getting pre-approved and going shopping for a home. With these historically low interest rates, it should be in the forefront of everybody's mind to refinance. That your home is your largest, for many people anyway, the home is the largest asset that they have, and that needs to be paid attention to, because with these historically low rates, you can lower your monthly payment, you can build equity faster, and it's just a very sound investment vehicle for you to research your options. So one of the reasons that people do a rate and term or a refinance is for rate and term. What do I mean by that? Interest rates are the lowest historically that we've ever seen. You lower your interest rate, you lower your payment. Then what you choose to do with that payment is your own business, but it's going to be savings to you, tax-free savings to you. Another reason for refinancing is to shorten the term. How long will you pay the mortgage off? Traditionally, most people use a 30-year term when they get into their home. They're going to pay their home over 360 payments, which is 30 years, and then at the end of those 360 payments, you own your home. But some people now are refinancing and they're taking that 30-year term to a 25 or maybe to a 20, or if they can afford it, some are taking it to a 15-year term. What that means is you're just shortening the amount of time that it will take to pay off your mortgage. And with these historically low rates, you can sometimes move to a 25 or even a 20 and not change your payment very much based upon where your current interest rate is situated and at these lower levels. So you definitely want to explore a rate and term refinance. Another reason to refinance is what we call cashing out. That is taking advantage of your equity, which is defined by the difference between what your home is valued and what you owe. That is your equity. That money is in your home, it's yours, it's your wealth, it's your personal wealth, and you can use that to consolidate credit card debt, which is a big one because credit cards debt that interest is not tax deductible. So people use that to consolidate their equity, to consolidate credit card debt, to pay for college for their kids, even to buy a car. But that's another reason for the refinancing is to cash out. And then finally, when you take all these things into consideration, you need to have a professional who can help you make these decisions, who can give you straight numbers and honest information to help you make an informed decision. So I'm John Lewis. I'm at 630-728-0066. I'm with Key Mortgage. Give me a call and let's discuss your financial planning.
Thanks again for joining us. I'm Christine Strauss.
And I'm Kevin Bartlett. Catch us next time to hear about the real deal.